Welcome to the channel, everybody, and I want you to take a listen to something before we get into this video. This is my first ever summary of my grind in UFL. Daily Grind, Episode 2. You see my first matches into Ruby 2. We ended on a good day. 4 bars into Ruby 2. It's 8 matches instead of 6. You see there, I did not get the first 3 games highlights, not on purpose, even though there was my only 2 losses in those. I just simply started playing early in the day and forgot to record. But we picked it up after a shaky start in Ruby 2 and ended up, like I said, putting 4 bars on our quest to get to Ruby 1. See there, I played one opponent 3 times, 3 victories. He's an opponent that actually, at the start of our rivalry, he had done that long switch to the wings. It was one of the first opponents that I had to figure out that puzzle with. And fast forward to now, and there's so much more frustration in my voice when it comes to this game. So much more disdain and negativity. And you could scroll through all of my earliest videos. And for one, just a side note, this is not what this video is about. But you see why, again, speaking of disdain, I have disdain for Dagger. Because in each video, that's the common theme. I whoop him, but he did some type of new glitch that I learned from him. That was my biggest problem. And then the glitch starts spreading around because, as you see, myself and Dagger are 2 content creators in a world that doesn't have many content creators, right? The other football games, especially FC, has so many content creators. But my point is, the content creators are the people that many look to for guidance in a game, right? The problem is, when I started doing this, I ended up rising, one of the first people to hit Premier, got to top 10 in the world, would have been number 1 possibly, but the way their system works, I couldn't play the other top global ranked players, and therefore it was hard to get in those top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. But on the other hand, Dagger, he's sharing content, he's using all of these exploits, and he wasn't even doing good. I mean, it took him ages to get into Premier Division. By the time he got into Premier Division, everybody was in Premier Division, and the game had been so broken and tattered from patches, and it was just like, why are players listening to this? Well, clearly, there are plenty of rats out there that want to just know exploits and don't want to use skill, even though I got 2 top 10 in the world way further than, someone like Dagger ever got using exploits. But I guess since it's harder to learn skill and do it the way I did it, more players wanted to follow those exploits in those ratty tactics, and that's where the game is now. And so you look back at where we could have possibly maybe done something, especially content creators, right? We have a little bit louder voice in the player base, which is another reason why I didn't like the other content creator of this game, Nanik, who had obviously a relationship with UFL big enough to where he did a scripted, interview with the CEO. Everyone remembers that nonsense. And he didn't really use his voice to help the game. He kind of played the part of, first of all, acting like he was a player of the game when he wasn't. At least definitely not a high-level player, as you could see in the little bit of gameplay he showed. And many of the players playing him have said and seen. But he also, no matter if he was a good player or not, he could have absolutely used his voice to try to speak more loudly on some of these issues in some of the direction, and maybe even told the CEO or went off script. That would have been legendary if he would have went off script. I can't remember. I believe it was live, that interview. If it wasn't, I mean, just not trying to, railroad the guy, but just ask honest questions that he wasn't prepared for, that they didn't approve in a script. I don't know. There's just so many things that I would have actually done as a true player of this game that could care less about my relationship with strikers or someone. I mean, even arguing with someone that was trying to ask questions to, like, the Discord, UFL Discord manager, to try to better the game, and he's defending the UFL Discord guy instead of, allowing the conversation to bring, talking points that are important to making this game better. Not to mention utilizing his channel as he always does in FC or any game, not to show gameplay, not to do anything like that, because he's truly not a player of these games. He just wants to get the clicks, the views, the money, but just using the channel to make the got you videos, right? Oh, how to get CP fast, how to get, Mbappe in your team fast. In FC, it would be like how to grind this SBC fast, right? How to, get this crazy player quickly. It's all stuff like that. How to get XP bonuses, shortcut, whatever, stuff like that. And that could have been a real positive outlet for the game, for someone representing the player base that had a connection to UFL, like I said, high enough to have a interview with the CEO, and it could have been a way to get these points out that the players wanted. And instead, it went that way. Instead, of course, they showed a player like him that's not really a player, that's a poser, right? And that way, the pressing questions don't get asked. And, the honest critique, the honest, no matter how negative it is, feedback gets put out there about it. And maybe then strikers would have been forced to look at some of these things harder, maybe make some of these changes that they haven't made. There's just so many different things related to this game, whether it's content creators, strikers, whatever it is, that took what was a fun, great game at first and just let it down this terrible path. The point is, all of this disdain and negativity came for a reason, and it had to do with, for one, strikers and their inability to truly fix the game. Right from the start, they never, ever balanced anything with their patches. They would go in to try to fix something and they would break 7 other things. Even the thing they tried to fix, if it was, for instance, this recent patch is a good example how it always goes. Goalies were terrible. They then do a patch, and now goalies are way too overpowered. Either side of it, the game suffers from it, right? And on top of that, the rats in this game, right, find exploits to do from these patches. So at the very beginning, remember, before anything, they put out the game, and it wasn't a perfect game by any means, but it was wide open. You could score from any way you wanted. There were so many different ways to score. You could play any way you wanted. I remember some tough 3-back opponents, tough 5-back opponents, and obviously all different 4-back systems, right? Narrow, wide, whatever it is. You could literally play any setup, and if you knew how to use it, if you had skill, it would prevail. If you knew how to pass and move and you knew how to properly defend, you would be rewarded for it, right? But the problem is, along came certain glitches, and then the rats like Dagger, and I'm not trying to attack him. I'm just being honest. Go back through my videos. You see here, there's nothing, no ill will against him. I played him 3 times. I beat him 3 times. But what did I say in the video? He is the first person I saw use what ended up being the infamous L1 triangle switch. He was literally the first player that just abused that, and then after that, the L1 square cross over and over. But then I'd figure it out and then beat him. And then next thing you know, everybody you're playing is using that. And that's a microcosm of what the game is today. It's a huge, huge cesspool, let's say, of exploits. One player uses them, then it explodes and all the rats are using it. And that's what a vast majority of the game is. So last night, I did a stream that lasted 14 minutes. I turned it off because you had a player who I was slicing up. I go get an open chance, miss with Ronaldo because the goalies are overpowered. He comes down, passing balls against my defender, can't beat my defense, so he's running in a circle to then get a finesse shot with Ronaldo, and he scores and then does a free kick, which those two are now broken. You just aim to the top corner, 3 bars, goal. It's not like there's no variables in it. It's guaranteed goal. Upper corner, 3 bars, goal. With that being said, oh yeah, and if you move your goalie one side, they'll hit the other side. So the point is that these rats don't care about ruining the game. They don't care. It blows my mind because we're playing a football game, but they're going to waste their time for no reason whatsoever. I guess because they need a win in something so bad that they decide, hey, I want to play a football simulator to not really play football, to use exploits to win, right? Again, that was my disdain for Dagger to begin with, but it is only that one person is an example of the players that ruin the game. And then you combine that with the fact that Strikers is not a good enough development company to truly fix the game, to truly put balance in, right? So no matter which way they go, they break more things. They don't balance the things that they were trying to fix, i.e. goalie's terrible. They patch it. Now goalie's too overpowered. It's never, okay, goalies are good. They miss some. They save some, perfect. Never that, right? Finesse shots go from everyone goes in to 0 go in, right? And now, for whatever reason, nothing goes in except for like a finesse shot, and really, it's a Ronaldo finesse shot that's almost guaranteed, and everyone else, it's the best way to score outside of, really, there's no other way. Maybe a corner kick flick that they didn't take out yet. But that's why in the 14 minutes that I streamed, like 9 minutes was me setting up my team, trying to take a joke of a game serious, right? Because I want this game to be fun. I want this game to be like it was at the beginning, right? When I was positive about the game, when it was actually fun to play, there's reasons to be positive about it. But when I say, if you morons want to play this game, go ahead. I'm not wasting my time on this trash and in the stream. It sounds very harsh, but it's not like it came out of nowhere, right? And I don't mean to call people morons for doing what they like. I mean, typically, I don't care what people do. Whatever they want to do to have fun, whatever they like to do, go ahead. Why would that bother me? I'm not one of those people. In this case, it's just something where we all come together as football game fans, and we all wanted to play this game at the beginning because it represented football way better than EAFC, the typical king of FC or football video games, and it was just broken. But after that, for whatever reason, UFL almost took the blueprint of where FC drove their game into the ground and tried to copy that, instead of recognizing they almost drove their game to the ground despite being a super successful franchise. And as a smaller franchise, they started copying all these mistakes, is what it seemed like. Going from a wide open defense where they're skilled to defend manually to a AI-driven, clustered mess where players can now put a million players behind the ball, right? Very fluky, what do you call it? Like gimmicky, shoot from here and score instead of actual build-up, right? This finesse shot from this angle is a guaranteed goal, but in wide open play, no longer can you score goals. Like, that was what made the game good. I mean, I think one of their taglines was literally no gimmicks, no this, no that. They literally promoted themselves as the opposite of FC, and now they're almost way worse than FC ever was, right? I mean, even though you had to score from this certain angle with a finesse shot or a Trivela or a power shot at all these different times in FC, never did you see players just cut, finesse shot, cut, because never was the defense so rigid and stiff. Maybe like FC 98, honestly. I'm not even kidding. FIFA, back then it was FIFA 98. But they basically took what made them good and just destroyed that and became a bad version of FC. And that's where my frustration, comes from. And it was a slow buildup, right? And then all of a sudden, the momentum gained, and it seemed like it was just more and more negative. And I get it. So that can get old. However, it's because I truly care and I want this game to be good, because when you put your time into something, you should care, right? And this is my hobby, just like it's many of your hobbies, and it goes beyond that, right? For us, for our generation, and for a few generations around mine, this is our golf. This is our bowling. This is our way of getting our competitive juices flowing again, because we can no longer play, or this is what we play in our rest time between games if we're still in our playing career playing, because that's what I used to do. Then once my playing career was done, this replaced it entirely, right? And like I said, you put your time into something, it should matter. You shouldn't just be wasting your time, which is also why these rats and these losers that spend their time playing a football simulator just to win with exploits, which literally proves nothing. It's not skill-based, it's pointless. But they still do it for nothing. They get nothing. They have a team full of 91s. The CP they get from wins in showdown or divisions doesn't matter. The rewards in this game are terrible. So you literally play for the competition, right? Okay, so then compete. But no, they'd rather do shortcuts and do whatever they can just to get a win, a pointless win, instead of truly gaining skill and playing football to win. I've used many analogies. I won't go into all that because that wasn't the point of this. It was just to say, everything that culminated in me ending my stream and going straight to eFootball last night isn't me saying eFootball is the best game ever, because eFootball, just like FC, has their problems too. But the difference is UFL is truly not football anymore. eFootball has a terrible meta, right? But it still is football. FC has the worst community ever and has a pretty crappy meta going on right now just because of all these tacklebacks and the nonsense because the servers are so bad, but it still is football because you can manually do a lot of things and kind of negate some of the issues, right? Still a nonsense game, don't get me wrong. However, UFL, no matter how much I want to play this game, just because some of the simplicity actually makes it good, right? If you could actually pass in the direction you intend the pass to go to, that would solve a lot of problems. But whatever the case, strikers can't figure that out. If you could actually balance the shooting like it was at the beginning of the game where you could score in all different ways, then even if the goalies had those terrible animations like the beginning, like as bad as they were, at least you could score in all these different ways. Now it's almost impossible to score except for this one way. I mean, it's literally what happened in FC with the cluster defense. You had to take finesse shots only. I mean, they literally, like I said earlier, just totally took the roadmap to where they got to at initial release and then just crumbled that up and then jumped off a cliff. I mean, that seriously seems like what they did. So I just want to reiterate when I said something along the lines of, if you morons want to keep wasting your time with this game, go ahead. I'm going to play eFootball. Even if it came off harsh, I mean, honestly, if we're being honest, all right, bear with me here. Playing this game is pretty moronic right now. Everyone should do it, what they want to do for fun. But unless you truly aren't looking to play a football video game and it's just like, I want to win at something. Okay, then yes, play UFL. Go for all the exploits and you can get wins. Perfect. But there's so many different things you can win at, right? Over going into a non-football football simulator with a terrible development team that can't ever put balance in the game, that continue making the game worse and worse, that continue essentially like attracting the worst of the worst and rats because they love to, utilize these exploits since they don't have skill. I mean, that is pretty moronic to put time into that game, especially when there is two other better football games out there. As bad as FC is, it is way better than UFL because it is not just exploits, at least. There's enough manual control to not be all exploits. eFootball, as bad as the meta is right now, it is truly football. All the details in there, the way the managers are in tying to the game, the way the tactics tie into the game, the skills and everything, it is truly a football game. And you don't have to play that meta. It can be annoying to play against. You can get whooped by it sometimes, but you can still play football. In UFL, you can't truly play football. Legitimately, you can't because of how these rats are able to use these exploits and because of how the game is. You literally can't play football. And strikers, they just keep making it worse and worse and worse. So it's pretty moronic to think like patch number, 1,100,000 all of a sudden is going to be different than the first, whatever patches. Because I know it's not 1 million, but let's be honest. For how new the game is, it feels like there's been 1 million patches. And we always say the same thing. Well, if the next patch doesn't fix it, I'm gone. But then we keep crawling back, and then we keep, covering our face in embarrassment and shame because nothing was fixed and we should have known the whole time. But then, a couple days later, I know the next patch will fix it. I'm going to give it one more chance. And then, the same thing. So, all I'm trying to say is, I'm not putting my time playing-wise into this anymore. I have a community that apparently still likes this game. When I look at the numbers on streams, on videos and stuff, it blows my mind, but you guys like what you like. And because I can help you with things like tactics, tips, things like that could get me to the top of this game, I'm going to provide that for you. Even though, for me, I'm just not going to play an anti-football game. It's not what I set out to do. It's not worth my time. I never did this for the views, unlike some other content creators. I did this for the love of the game and for the love of coaching, for the love of helping players, right? Whether it's real life footballers that I'm giving back to now to help hopefully get to and beyond where I got to in my playing career, as well as to help players in these games aspire to get to a higher level, help them achieve that and get to that higher level. Because again, people put a lot of time into these games. And if my guidance can help players, which I know it can and I know it has already, I'm going to provide that. Even if the game is terrible, even if there's better alternatives, in particular a better alternative in eFootball where it's a challenge to learn and a challenge to play, but it is so satisfying, it is so worth it because you can create beautiful football. And that's what we all love, right? That's what brought us to football simulators anyways. Some of us, not so much. Some of the rats, just whatever makes them tick, who knows? Whether they just need to win in something or whatever the case may be. But for the most part, we came here in this community, especially, I know, to play football. And I know some players have lost their way with that because of all these exploits and rats, and they become fixated on getting the wins and getting the silly rewards. So as long as you want to play this game, I will provide the guidance to get better at this game. However, I'm not going to lie for clicks or views or just play this game for clicks or views. Everything I do in this game is simply to help you guys, not for myself, because I will use eFootball as my competitive outlet. So if you want to join me aside from UFL or in place of UFL, obviously you're more than welcome. And keep grinding, keep having fun. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.